Okay, I'm going here. I'm trying to record a video and it keeps kicking me off. My phone's been acting weird. I've been having interesting stuff with my Wi-Fi and weird stuff, getting kicked off of things and never happened before. I got a new modem I need to install. Maybe that would fix it. Anyway, I was just going to make a quick comment. There's a Heartfulness magazine you can download for free. It's online. And they have a really interesting article in. I just started reading it last night. Kamlesh is talking about Patanjali's Yoga Sutras and the 8 limbs of yoga. And there's just some really cool stuff. Kamlesh is really amazing. I always have really amazing realizations when I read his stuff. And I have to take it in small doses because I've been kind of trying to kind of float along with this heartfulness and just let my own realizations come and because I didn't want to get caught up in a group think kind of thing. And so, but it's really great information for a spiritual seeker, even though it's, it might sound all like, Hindu or whatever, but the truth is these people were non-denominational. I mean, they were just simply seekers of God. So they were the most, they weren't committed to a religion or anything like that. They were just, helping guide humanity on a path. And it's interesting how some of the terminology and things, one of the things he was talking about was how, the term yoga has actually been kind of co-opted into meaning more like, the Ashtanga yoga where they do the physical postures and the breathing techniques and things like that. But the term yoga actually means union. So the term anything that is creating union with the divine would be yoga. And so I was looking at the term ahimsa. Ahimsa means nonviolence. And it's funny how these terms we just take the term and then they co-opt it into, nonviolence means, you don't kill, you don't cause harm, basically. But I think there's a much more subtle meaning because you have to understand when this information is being put out is when there's a decline in humanity. So humanity is at a high level and it's declining at this point. So this information has to be disseminated through these sages because when everyone in society is connected to God, which I believe we have been in the past, you don't have to have this information come out because people already know it. People already know what's right and wrong. They don't have to be told, don't steal, don't kill, don't covet, don't, do all these things. People already know it because they're connected directly to source. There's no need to have to tell, but as there's a decline in consciousness, as consciousness falls, you fall into they call it a stage of Kali Yuga, where you go into an age of darkness. And these cycles of time are all just to help develop our souls, to make us grow. And these systems become more and more gross level. So you have something that's so refined and so just like a gossamer thread, just so subtle but so sublime, and they turn it into something gross, And I feel like that's what when you see the modern day yoga, that's what they've done, and they've taken something that was created to, draw people back to source, and then it just gets co-opted into, more of the, like I was talking about with the video I made yesterday about just more about not cooperating, but having, competition with everything and turning it into a circus, really. And so that's the age of ignorance. So we're still in this age of ignorance, but see, this information is coming back out, and someone like Kamlesh, he's bringing this information at a very high level. This is like, it's so subtle. It's so subtle. But this concept of ahimsa struck me because, I've been eating meat, and sometimes think, oh man, I shouldn't be eating meat, but I need meat. My body needs it. And I think, oh, I can't be a spiritual person or whatever. According to, some people, you can't. Now, an example of this ahimsa being taken into an extreme would be people like vegans, where they won't eat meat, they won't eat meat products, they won't eat anything like that, to the detriment of their bodies. There's a lot of people who are starting to, I see it on social media, people who were vegans and they became very ill. Their bodies just became weak and run down from not getting the right nutrition, and they had to start eating meat, and they talk about how they started feeling better once they did. And so this concept of ahimsa, if they were to apply that, which that's what they're really trying to apply, right? They're trying to say, well, I'm not violent, I'm nonviolent, I'm not hurting animals, but they're actually hurting themselves. And that's the worst kind of violence. The violence to yourself is the most worst kind. And because it's deviating, anything that deviates you off the path to divine connection is violence. That's what I believe this ahimsa means. I don't think it means, because let's say you're a soldier and you're out on the battlefield and your mandate is to kill the enemy. I mean, that enemy is going to kill you if you don't kill them. The Bhagavad Gita has this specifically in it, where Arjuna is on the battlefield with Krishna, and Krishna tells him, hey, Arjuna is going crazy because he doesn't want to go fight against these people. I mean, some of them are his relatives, and he is told by Krishna, and Krishna says, these people are already dead. They're basically, at a level where their fate is already decided. They're on this, this low level of consciousness. They already belong to me. They're already going to be recycled. You're just going to go in and take care of your duty and do your job. It's not against God what you're doing. This is what needs to be done. You're taking care of business. And we've gotten so far from that. Like, we're so far out now that people are just absolutely just missing the point on so many things. And, I think if we got back to a more simple lifestyle, where we raised our own food, we killed our own food, when I was a kid, we raised chickens, we raised our own beef cattle, and we butchered the chickens ourselves. And I was out there, chopping heads off chickens when I was, 10 years old. And it wasn't violent. It was a necessity to feed our family. There was no violence. The chickens died a quick, painless death. They were dead. They got their head chopped off. They were done. And I just think that people have gotten away from any kind of sense of common sense, really. And I think a lot of this Yoga Sutra stuff, like I said, it's common sense. When people were directly connected to God, it was common sense. But as they lose their connection to God, they have to be told what's right and wrong. It's like the Bible and the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments should be common sense. If you have any consciousness at all, it's wrong to kill. It's wrong to covet. It's wrong to steal. You already know this. You shouldn't have to be told this. But they use these systems to control and keep the masses in alignment so they can harvest off of them. And those times are coming to a close. This is the end of that. We're having another awakening. We're at the beginning of another renaissance. We're at the very beginning of a renaissance. So where we've had high level of technology, but we've had a low level of consciousness. Now the level of consciousness is going to start to catch up. And you can see that with a lot of stuff going on. And anyway, this is rambling, so I'll try to make a clearer video about it later.